Well, my name is Oscar Hernandez. I'm the leader of two-time Grammy Award-winning Spanish Harlem Orchestra. I'm pianist, composer, arranger, band leader, musical director, and some other names I can't say here, but those are the good all the good aspects of what I do.
Well, that sounds like plenty to me. Well, the occasion, well, one of the occasions that we're talking to you today is because you'll be performing not this coming, but on Saturday, April 26th at
April 28th.
28th, I'm sorry. So you'll be performing on Saturday, April 28th at the Rialto Center for the Performing Arts with the Larry Harlow Latin Legends Band. And kind of tell us a little bit how you got involved with that particular project in this show.
Well, I've performed at the Rialto Performing Arts Center with my own band, which is Spanish Harlem Orchestra. We've been there at least 2, maybe 3 times, I think, in the past few years. And it's a great venue. It's a great place to perform. And in this case, they had contracted Larry Harlow and the Latin Legends Band. Larry is one of the pioneers of our music. He's been around for, I guess, probably 50 years now, and has been the leader of his own band. And he was one of the pioneers of the Fania era, Fania being the record company, I guess, analogous to like Motown back in the day with R&B and R&B and pop music. Well, Fania was that to Latin music that catapulted from New York City to the rest of the world. And he called me because he was going through a little bit of a health issue, nothing serious, but was prohibited to fly. So me being a pianist and being a person that is very much of his mindset and concept in terms of the music, he asked me to be part of the band that day in his place, and I'm honored and extremely excited. You know, he's got great musicians, great music, and I'm really excited to be part of that evening on April 28th.
He definitely picked the right person. This is a Latin Legends Band because you're definitely a legend. You've had a great career and still doing great stuff with your new release, which we'll talk about shortly. But I kind of wanted to talk about kind of some of the highlights so far, because you've done, for people who may not be familiar with you, you've been involved with some very heavy hitters in the Latin jazz community. And in particular, I know that you work with the Rican Struction album back in 1979, which is now considered a classic Latin jazz album. Kind of tell us about your involvement with that and how kind of that experience.
Well, that was band leader Ray Barretto. And Ray Barretto, again, was one of the pioneers and one of the people that were important part of the musical fabric of, you know, the Latino culture in the 70s, well, 60s. He goes back to the 60s, but more in the 70s with his band and part of the Fania era. Again, he was a Fania all-star, but he was also known as a great band leader who went through different periods of having great bands. And I went through the period of the late 70s to the 80s, recording 6 records with Ray Barretto, Rican Struction being one of them, actually the first one. And that turned out to be a very iconic record. I mean, a recording, it was the measuring stick for a lot of musicians as to the music moving into a new millennium, so to speak. There were high energy arrangements that were very, you know, the vanguard of the time as to what was happening with the creative arranging and creative writing as far as that music is concerned, or our music. So extremely proud to have been part of that, and then subsequently went on to record 5 more records with Ray, all of which I'm proud of because he was known to be a musician with an incredible vision. He was a huge, huge jazz fanatic. Apart from being a Latin music icon, he was also a huge fan of jazz, actually classical music too. For me, it was an education being with Ray, because he was one of the most knowledgeable people I had ever met. And I was like 24 at the time. I had ever met in music. He knew about all kind of music, and as far as jazz, man, he got to play with a lot of the jazz greats back in the day, including Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, people like that. So it was an honor for me to sit in as his pianist, and later on I became arranger for the band and record 6 records. But Rican Struction was the first, and like I said, it was an incredible recording that set the standard of its day.
Wow. That must have been a tremendous honor to be involved in that. Did you guys have any idea that it would kind of become what it became as you were doing it?
No, nobody had any idea. I didn't know. I know that it was challenging music for me. And as an arranger, I was being challenged and by Ray himself, who was very much, very clear to me on his mission as having a great band, second to none, and the music the arrangements had to be on par with that. So he put the challenge and he laid the gauntlet down, and I said, okay, let's do it. And happy to have been part of everything that he did for those 6 records that I was with him.